You hear it before you see it, a low growl beyond the dying fire. Then two eyes appear in the grass, close enough to reflect the flames. You have no gun, no wall, and nowhere to call for help. If the predator charges, your survival depends on the people waking beside you. This was not a rare nightmare. For much of human evolution, our ancestors were not the unquestioned rulers of the landscape. They shared the night with lions, leopards, hyenas, bears, crocodiles, giant birds of prey, and other hunters built to kill faster than any human could run. The fossil record preserves part of that danger. The Taung Child, a young Australopithecus from South Africa, has damage that researchers think was caused by a large eagle. The victim was only about 3 years old. Even danger could come from the sky. At Swartkrans, another South African site, a fragmentary early human skull carries punctures strongly associated with a leopard attack. The lesson is uncomfortable. Even members of the genus Homo, equipped with larger brains and tools, could still become prey. So how did ancient humans survive? Not through one invention. There was no single moment when fire, a spear, or a bigger brain suddenly made predators harmless. Survival came from layers of protection, each one reducing the chance that a hunter could isolate an easy target. The first layer was the group. One unarmed human is vulnerable. 10 alert humans are nosy, unpredictable, and dangerous to approach. A predator searching for the weakest individual now faces shouting, thrown stones, waving branches, and several bodies moving together. Children were especially vulnerable, so the safest position was likely near trusted adults, not at the edge of camp. An infant carried against a body could move with the group. An older child could be pulled inward when danger appeared. Protection was social before it was technological. A group also created more eyes. While some people cut meat, gathered plants, or cared for children, others could notice a shape moving against the wind. We cannot reconstruct every ancient routine, but shared vigilance is one of the simplest advantages of living together. Warning did not require a modern language. A sharp cry, a pointing arm, a sudden change in posture, or everyone staring in the same direction could spread information instantly. The important thing was not a perfect sentence. It was making the whole group react before the predator reached them. Ancient humans also learned to read the landscape as a map of risk. Tall grass could hide a cat, a narrow trail could create an ambush. Fresh tracks near water meant that another animal had arrived recently. Survival often began long before the predator appeared. Water was essential, but riverbanks and lakeshores were dangerous meeting points. Crocodiles waded below the surface, large carnivores followed thirsty herds. A careful group could approach together, watch the edges, drink quickly, and leave instead of relaxing beside the water. Choosing where to sleep mattered even more. Open ground offered visibility, a little shelter. Trees could provide height for smaller-bodied ancestors, yet climbing became less useful as later humans grew heavier and more committed to life on the ground. Rock shelters offered cover, but they came with a problem. Caves were not empty houses waiting for humans. Bears, hyenas, leopards, and other carnivores also used them. Bones found in ancient caves often recurred repeated occupation by different species. Entering a dark shelter could mean discovering that something else already owned it. Fire changed the night, but not as a magical force field. Evidence from Wonderwerk Cave in South Africa suggests fire was used deep inside the cave around 1 million years ago. At Gesher Benot Ya'aqov in Israel, burned flint, seeds, and wood mark controlled hearth activity about 790,000 years ago. A maintained fire created light, smoke, heat, and a center where people gathered. It could reveal approaching ice and may have discouraged some animals from coming close. More importantly, it kept humans awake together, facing outward instead of sleeping as scattered individuals in total darkness. But fire could fail, rain could weaken it. Fuel could run out, wine could push smoke into the shelter. Some predators might circle beyond the light and wait. Ancient people still needed backup plans, which meant keeping branches, stones, and eventually purpose-made weapons within reach. The earliest stone tools were mainly used for cutting, pounding, and processing food, but a sharp flake also changed what a threatened human could do at close range. A heavy stone could be thrown, a wooden club increased reach. Even simple objects made an attack more costly. Wood rarely survives for hundreds of thousands of years, so ancient weapons are almost invisible archaeologically. One exceptional site is Schöningen in Germany, where carefully shaped wooden spears and throwing sticks were found with animal remains. Recent dating places a famous spear horizon at roughly 200,000 years ago. These weapons are usually discussed as hunting tools, but the same skills mattered against predators: choosing strong wood, shaping a point, judging distance, and coordinating movement. A spear did not make one person invincible. Several spears pointed in the same direction changed the calculation. Predators prefer opportunity, not fairness. An isolated child, an injured adult, or someone distracted at a carcass is a safer target than a united group making noise. Ancient humans survived partly by refusing to look easy. They stood taller, advanced together, and made themselves seem larger and more dangerous. Nose was a weapon too, shouting, striking wood, clacking stones, and feeding branches into a fire could turn a silent camp into a confusing wall of sound and motion. The goal was not always to kill the animal. Often the best victory was convincing it to search somewhere else. Food created another risk. Butchering a carcass produced blood, smell, and scraps that could attract carnivores. Early humans sometimes arrived at animals killed by other predators, and carnivores could return. Eating meat was not only a nutritional opportunity, it was a dangerous negotiation. At sites in East Africa, cut marks and carnivore tooth marks on the same animal bones show that humans and other meat-eaters sometimes accessed the same carcasses. The exact order is not always clear. Humans may have hunted, scavenged, arrived first, or arrived later. Either way, the meal could become a contest. Group size mattered in those contests. One person carrying meat could be chased away. A coordinated group could watch different directions, process the carcass quickly, carry valuable pieces, and retreat before hyenas or big cats took control. Cooperation turned time into a survival tool. Movement patterns also reduced danger. Crossing exposed ground in daylight made ambush harder. Traveling with slower children and injured adults near the center limited isolation. Returning before darkness reduced the hours when human vision was weakest and many predators were most active. Knowledge accumulated through memory. Which path had fresh leopard tracks? Which tree offered a clear view? Where had hyenas denned last season? Which waterhole became dangerous during drought? A person who remembered these patterns protected more than one life. Elders may therefore have been valuable for more than physical labor. Long experience could preserve a mental map of safe routes, dangerous seasons, animal behavior, and past attacks. The body of an older person might be slower, but the information in that mind could help the whole group avoid a fight. The injured and sick presented the hardest challenge. A limp could attract attention, blood could leave a trail. Someone unable to climb, run, or hold a weapon increased the danger for everyone nearby. Abandoning that person might protect the group immediately, but cooperation offered another path. Evidence of survival after serious injury in ancient humans suggests that companions sometimes provided food, protection, or time to recover. Care was costly, yet it kept skills, relationships, and knowledge inside the group. The same social bond that protected a child could also protect a wounded adult. Over thousands of generations, these layers began to shift the balance. Better tools, controlled fire, planning, communication, and larger cooperative networks made humans harder to hunt. Predators did not disappear, but they increasingly faced an animal that could remember, organize, and retaliate. The change was not simply from prey to predator. Humans became something stranger, a species that could be vulnerable alone but formidable together. Later Neanderthals even hunted and butchered cave lions in Europe, showing how far the relationship with large carnivores had changed. Yet that transformation was never complete. Lions, leopards, bears, crocodiles, and other animals continued to kill humans. Ancient survival was not proof that our ancestors were stronger than every predator. It was proof that they became better at managing fear, risk, and cooperation. You still carry part of that history. A sudden sound in darkness raises your heart rate before you know what made it. You notice eyes watching you. You feel safer when other people stand nearby. Those reactions were shaped in landscapes where hesitation could be fatal. Now return to the dying fire. The eyes in the grass move closer. One person wakes, then another. Someone adds fuel. Someone lifts a branch. The group stands together, shouting into the dark. The predator pauses, turns, and disappears. Ancient humans did not survive predators because they stopped being afraid. They survived because fear became information, information became action, and action became cooperation. If you enjoyed this journey into the distant past, subscribe for more stories about ancient humans and human evolution.